You better respond or it's over. And so thus makes it a must-win for Gerard Mayo and his program because the people that run the team, whether it's Kraft or his kid, that the appetite for where it's going may not be there. Do you agree or disagree with that, Mazz?
I disagree. Because, again, with this Patriot, I think the must-win scenario, and I understand his point that this past week was the week that Mayo challenged his players. I feel like he's kind of tried to challenge them in other ways along the way here. Maybe he's just upping the ante. But the bottom line is the quote-unquote must-win for the Patriots. It happened a long time ago, and they lost it. They're 1-6. Like at this stage, I think what is every week, there's a little organizational credibility that's at stake for them. They can win some of that back. But like must win for a 1-6 team? Like, I don't feel that way, and I still think it's a long shot that Mayo gets fired.
Yeah, what's he think is going to happen here? That Mayo's going to get fired?
Yeah, right.
Like in the next few days? Did he get duped like other people did on the internet yesterday? Like, I don't understand. And has he been not paying attention? Like, you've owned the Jets. Well, no, not recently. They broke that seal. They beat them at in Gillette Stadium to end the season last year, and they beat them on Thursday Night Football already this year. That's over. I don't look at that as a must-win for the Patriots.
Must-win for Gerard Mayo's credibility, thus job security.
I think that's already eroded.
It's over. It's over. He's not going anywhere. He's the chosen one by the Crafts, so he's safe. So what does it matter whether he wins or loses, or is 1-6, or 3-4, 1-15, or 7-8? He's not going anywhere. This is the worst part of this season. Is that too many people said the wins and losses don't matter, and apparently they don't matter to the Crafts either, because Gerard Mayo ain't going anywhere. And you listen to Phil Perry, Elliot Wolf's not going anywhere, so the wins and losses don't matter. So there's no must win. And that's how you that's how you know you're a real loser. And you're a horrible franchise, that the wins and losses don't matter.
Exactly.
And everyone's just protected or not. No, it just doesn't matter. The wins and losses don't matter. That's just the last place you want to be, and that's where they are. That's when you know you're truly horrible. And you're truly a bad organization, top to bottom. Wins and losses don't matter. So I don't think this matters for Gerard Mayo. He's not going anywhere. Kraft's not going to take him out after 1 year. Mayo knows it. Probably everyone knows it. So what's the diff? And that's how they're carrying themselves. But I do love how they're those protecting Mayo, and like maybe the team itself keeps, who's to blame and where are we pointing the finger now? They've exhausted Belichick put us in this spot. Everyone's been on Alex Van Pelt from day one. So now if it's not Mayo's fault, you now know whose fault it might be?
Covington?
Yeah, have you heard this one? DeMarcus Covington. And this was Doug Kyde in the Herald doing some reporting. I'll just read from his story today in the Herald. He said, things were expected to go poorly this season. And he's talking, I think, from the perspective of ownership or the organization. Things were expected to go poorly this season, which is in part why the team has chosen to spend only half its cap space they had available this spring. Oh, that's why.
We knew we were going to suck anyway?
How do we explain the previous 10 years? But anyway... Okay, which is in part why the team has chosen to spend only half its cap space they had available this spring, why they have shown little interest in signing or trading for veteran stopgap players who wouldn't be a part of the team's future, and why they were willing to trade Matthew Judon to the Falcons. So they were expected to go poorly, so why throw good money after bad? But losing by double digits to the Jaguars in London, getting beaten at home by a 2-4 Dolphins team without Tua Tagovailoa, things are worse than even anticipated. One team source believes the issues stem from a lack of talent, you don't say, and a lack of leadership. And that goes for both players and coaches. Okay, so this is significant. Defensively, Gerard Mayo is in his first year as head coach, and he was never a defensive coordinator at any level. He shared a de facto role with Steve Belichick under defensive mastermind Bill Belichick. Mayo has also been largely delegating as a CEO-style head coach and entrusting first-time defensive coordinator DeMarcus Covington to run the unit. No one on the defensive staff has been more than a positional coach. A team source believes that some of the team's issues stem from a lack of experience on staff. The Patriots ownership must decide whether they'll allow that experience to come organically, or if they need to step in at some point and forcibly inject more experience into the coaching staff, especially on defense. Mayo would have benefited from a veteran assistant head coach. So, okay, we started with it's not Mayo's fault because he was handed a bad roster. Then it was Van Pelt. And I'm for I think all these people suck. So, I agree with all of it. I'm just telling you where it's gone, where the blame shifting has gone to protect Mayo. Wolf, Van Pelt was the early one. Belichick, of course. Hey, look, what do you want? This is what Belichick handed us. Now DeMarcus Covington. Interesting. Your thoughts?
They're laying the groundwork for what they're going to do during the offseason. That's what it is. Again, none of it's Mayo's fault, and obviously none of it is their fault. And by they, I mean the people making the decision at the highest levels of the organization, Robert and Jonathan Kraft. So to me, that's what it's all about. They're starting to lay out the playbook. How the line that caught me was the one that you read about. They have to decide. I'm trying to find the exact line. They have to decide how they're going to let that experience, whether they will allow that experience to come organically, or if they need to step in at some point and inject, a veteran presence on the coaching staff. And I'm paraphrasing the end of that. Organically. So again, they went into this thing saying, they basically threw away the season. The coaches are going to have to learn on the fly. So now I'm happy to report Foxborough has become a training ground for NFL coaches. That's what it is, including the head coach. It is a developmental program on how to coach in the NFL. The games are irrelevant. We're just trying to develop coaches down there. It's a AAA outfit, for lack of a better term. Congratulations. Excellent work. Let's lower the standards of an organization that has won 6 Super Bowls and now bring it to the point where you flush a season because you have to develop coaches organically without trying to win games. Very nice. That part sickens me. And it speaks to the whole thing you were just reading about, this is why they didn't spend money, which, again, is a little bit of a manipulation. So we were smart. We knew we were going to be bad.
Of course.
Right?
This is all now planned. We knew this was going to be like this, so we're keeping our powder dry because that's the smart thing to do.
Right. Then why did you try to get Calvin Ridley?
Why'd you try and get Brandon Ayuk?
Right. What? So I thought you spent less money because you knew we were going to be bad, so then why go after Ridley?
In which, according to everyone who knows, they outbid everybody. So, wait a minute, good point, Mazz. I thought you were being smart in not throwing good money after bad because you knew you were going to be bad.
So which one is it? You either outbid everybody and you want to win, or you didn't bid on veteran players because you knew you were going to suck. Which one is it?
I have another
developing. It's just like the story. It's like the wind down there. The story down there changes all the time.
Well, no.
To just defend the people making the decisions.
Well, and I think to protect Mayo, the chosen one, and to defend Mayo. And this is just the latest. They've gone down the line. They've gone down the line. Belichick, Wolf, Van Pelt. Now it's Covington's turn. And I think they're right on all of them. Belichick left him a horrible spot. I think Van Pelt's just a jag coordinator, offensive journeyman guy, just a guy. Wolf has done a horrible job. And Covington might not be anything. I agree with all of it. But here's my developing opinion on Mayo, and especially now as it comes to defense. So I'm going to take a step back in saying to you that previously I've been telling you, and I believed, and I've said it many times, that Gerard Mayo is not one of those head coaches that has a play sheet in front of him, right? Which I like. I like that he's going to be more of a CEO, and there's very few left. A guy that oversees everything and thus can, have a hand in every part of the game, keep track of the overall flow of the game, the clock, and whatever. And his head isn't buried in a play sheet when the other side of the football is on the field. I like that. That's kind of a throwback. There's very few of those left. Tomlin has one. I'm not sure. Does Harbaugh do it that way? I'm just not even sure. That used to be sort of common, where you had head coaches and the coordinators called the either side of the ball. But now it's changed. But Gerard Mayo was going to be more of that CEO kind of guy, which I like. Now I'm wondering why. What if everyone's doing it the other way? In other words, the head coach calls one side of the ball, focuses on one side of the ball, is the de facto coordinator of one side of the ball, and then turns over the other side of the ball. How come they're not doing that with Mayo? How come he's not the defensive coordinator? How come he doesn't have the play sheet in front of him?
Because they're trying to develop him. As a game manager, I don't know. I'm just.
What if he can't do it?
Well,
right.
so there's that too.
He might
What
just
if he
be out to
sucks?
lunch.
What if he sucks?
It could be that too.
What if he's not capable of even being a defensive coordinator?
Could be that.
So, like, that's not what I'm wondering. Like, any head coach that comes from is a coordinator of one, this happens all the time, where an offensive coordinator becomes head coach. He gives the offensive play calling to a named offensive coordinator, and he takes a step back. Then the team struggles offensively, and what's the first thing he does? He takes the play sheet. It just happens all the time on good teams, bad teams. Doesn't Andy Reid? Didn't Bielema do it for not Bielema? Bieniemy. Didn't Bieniemy do it for some time, and then Reid took it back? McCarthy's constantly taking it back and giving it to I'm not telling you it's a healthy thing all the time. I'm just telling you that's what happens. The head coach comes from one side of the ball. If he doesn't like what's going on that side of the ball, he takes over. Give me the play sheet. How come that's not happening here? Well, Mayo's not even qualified to be a defensive coordinator.
Well, you might be right. Didn't Stephen Belichick call the defenses?
Yes, on game days he did. Gerard Mayo ran the meetings, set the personnel groups, but Steve ran the defense, or called the defense, was the play caller. And I guess, I don't know. So how do they parse out the game planning part of it during the week? I don't know. But that I do know, that Steve Belichick was,
He called the defenses on game day.
I was going to say Steve couldn't stand in front of the room. I was going to say it was such a mess, but that's not fair. But whatever, such a mess, wasn't ready for it. However you want to describe that. Couldn't stand in front of the full team. So Mayo did that on Wednesdays or whatever, when all 30 guys or whatever were in front of him. Steve wasn't really cut out for that. So Mayo would run the full team meetings. He ran the personnels on Sunday, but it was Steve Belichick that called the defense on Sundays. Who set the game plan? I don't know. All I know is I previously liked the fact that Mayo wasn't going to be a coordinator on either side of the ball and wouldn't have a play sheet in front of him. But now I'm wondering, is there a reason? Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because every other coach is going to take over a side of the ball that's struggling. And so, I think he needs to do this, by the way. I told you, I had a 2-point plan for Gerard Mayo this week. Get your players to shut up and put the phones down. Well, he's 0 for 1 because there's just been all sorts of chirping down there this week. And we'll get into that. And 2, get in there and stop the run. Whatever it takes, stop the run. Don't let the Jets gash you up the middle. It's a horrible look. As a former middle linebacker and inside linebacker coach, your side of the ball, your area of expertise, that they're gashing you up right in the place where you have your area of expertise. So if there's anything you need to do this week is make sure that the Jets do not run between the tackles. And as part of this Herald story, I left the line out, but here it is. Mayo was spotted working closely with Patriots linebackers and linebacker coach Dante Hightower during practice on Wednesday. Okay, good. Do this. Do this thing. This is the one thing you should be able to do, or the one thing that you at least have experience with and excelled at, both as a player and a coach, because the run defense was good last year and he was the inside linebackers coach and blah, blah, blah. So do that thing. So, but I just, now it's Covington's turn. It's Wolf. No, it's Bill. Well, this Van Pelt's just a guy. No, you know what? They actually made a mistake with Covington too. Well, okay. At some point, can we get to the head coach? When can we get to the head coach?
After next year, because this guy's just going to end up being the scapegoat who ends up getting fired, because heads are going to have to roll. People are going to want blood, and it's not going to be Gerard Mayo. It's going to be some of these ancillary characters like Covington.
So there we go. There's your latest fall guy, DeMarcus Covington.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.